who is like our Father, who is like our Mother, who is everything that we can perceive and everything that we cannot perceive, who is everything yet is no thing, who comes to us in the form of the Neteru Ra, who is the light of the heavens, light of the inner planes, as well as the light of our lives, who shines the light for us on the path of Ma'ati, which is the path of truth, justice, righteousness, and harmonious balance, who comes to us in the form of the light of vitality, giving us the strength and the endurance to live and act upon that which we know to be true. Homage to you, the one who shines in and through us as a beacon of light for those who are blind to the facts of their place, their position, and their responsibilities in the divine scheme of things. May we be Ma'akiru, true of thought, word, and deed, to our highest reality, and in our moments of crises in the dark nights of the soul when it appears that everyone and everything else has let us down. So it is, and so shall it be. Amen Ma'at.
Amen Ma'at.
Ma'akiru.
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 Ma'akiru. Ma'akiru.
Ma'akiru.
MC. Good. Before I start, I evoke the energies of the Neteru Jehuti for the proper words, the energy of the Neteru Ma'at for truthful words, the energy of Ra for the energy that we need for the day and time that we're in, because we need us, Ankh, Uja, Sened. And we also need that energy to realize that we're blessed upon the earth, because a lot of people don't feel blessed upon the earth. There's a significant percentage of the population that contemplates suicide and thinking they should be somewhere else, that it's not worth it being here, not knowing that many of the spirits, their ancestors actually want to be here. Their ancestors are supporting you being here. And they don't know that it's all about actually being here. So for that, we call on knowledge of Ma'at, truth, and the creator that created it, so that we can have a depth of knowledge to know what must be done, because those who know what must be done and know their purpose are the most fulfilled on the earth. So for that, I say Amen Ma'at. With that being said, I say Yahweh.
Yahweh.
So now, I trust that everyone in here is well. Are y'all okay?
Two.
And why not? Why wouldn't you be? Right? The majority of you all in here are initiates. And as initiates, you are given tools to shape your reality. So why wouldn't it be good? Why wouldn't it be all good? Even when it's not good, it's all good. Because you're in a process of something. And here we teach that the universe reciprocates, right? So reciprocate means to exchange. So you put some energy out and the universe reciprocates. So what, haven't we all put out positive energy? So that means it's coming back, right? So why wouldn't we be good? So the universe reciprocates energy. I think I heard Majudi Ra come up here and say, the universe conspires. What is it? How do you finish it off? The universe conspires to give you what it is that you want, or the universe conspires to see you. Come on, y'all, help me out. What is it? The universe conspires to give you what you want. Okay, so let us look at the word conspires. It's the root to the word conspiracy. Now, we're all mature adults in here, right? Is the word conspiracy a bad word? But the way people use it today, you'll think it was a bad word. Conspiracy theorists, but conspiracy, conspire. The root of the word conspiracy is con, which means together, and spirit, which means to breathe. So conspiracy means to breathe together. So when people talk about conspiracy theorists, they're talking about people in places kind of whispering about something. So it's a powerful thing to say that the universe conspires to get you what it is that you want. So the universe is secretly working to set up people, places, and circumstances to receive you. Right? Do y'all believe that? So the universe is setting up people, places, and circumstances to receive you. But we have to understand, the exchange of energy, the reciprocation of energy. It's not just energy, it's the quality of energy. Because some people get into African spirituality and they want to rack up on a litany of rituals that they think they're going to kind of pimp the universe to do it on their terms. But the universe always responds to your quality of energy. So you could do a proper ritual, but if your energy is not right, you're not going to get the result that you want. So our part is to get past the illusion of time. Y'all following? You want to go home, it's hot. It's been a long day. It is hot up in here. It's toasted. What was my last thought? I said the universe reciprocates, right? It's about the quality. I said people rack up on a litany of rituals when it's really your quality of energy. That's what I said. We have to get past the illusion of time. Because people do things and they want automatic results. There is an automatic response from the universe, but since you believe in time, it gets caught up in the illusion of time. So we have to get past the illusion of time and endure lessons and tests of character. And that's the unpopular part of the whole creating your reality thing. We don't like the character part. Because sometimes you don't have the character to receive what it is that you want. Sometimes your character is not ready to receive what it is that you want because you don't have the proper character to indulge or to disseminate the blessings of what it is that you got. Mm-hmm. Sometimes our attitude and our behavior is so poor that we actually destroy the blessings. Why? Because we don't recognize them. That's how selfish and narcissistic we become. To try to demand the universe to give us things on our terms. So we oftentimes destroy the blessings because we don't recognize them. So many people, their attitudes are so poor that they don't recognize that their door of their blessing is through adversity. Did I say something? Especially for black folks in America, our door to our blessing is through adversity. And we don't like that, so we throw these temper tantrums. And then we become poor sports. And yes, I say poor sports. Because this thing is a game of life. And in the game of life, there's clear winners and losers. So this society is now cultivating everybody to be soft and thinking everybody's automatically a winner just because they played the game. No, there's clear winners and there's clear losers. And this is why we root for the underdog in movies, because we know it's clear winners and clear losers. We go for the underdog in movies because you see there is a hierarchy going on, and you see people play by different levels of rules, and that you've been given a certain set of rules to keep you complacent. And we go for the underdog, like I like movies like Rocky. Rocky be straight getting his behind whooped, like 60 minutes of a 90-minute movie. But you rooting for him, and what does he have to do? He has to go deep. He has to go deep and tap into a skill set that he didn't know he had to do what? To come up with game-changing results. Remember, we said this is a game of life, so if our doorway to our blessings is through adversity, we have to go deeper to come up with game-changing results. This is not even what I'm supposed to speak about today. Today, that's just an opener. But it always feeds into, everything feeds into things. And we apologize to the people online. I know we're a little bit late, but there's things behind the scenes. We got business that we have to handle. So if you were in the house, you would know. But we're here now, so we're going to move on to the lesson. And today I want to talk about posterity. How many people heard of the word posterity? And what does it mean? Since you heard of it on the day. Say it again.
Something that lives on and continues to live on.
Something that continues to live on. So we're talking about concerns of the future. Posterity. For the sake of the future generations, that's posterity. Unborn generations, that's posterity. In our prayer, we say, King Nefuba Abu Patu Ani Nef Hemamentu. Hemamentu is the unborn generations. Now, in all African traditions, whether it's West African, South African, East African, they all have a concern with posterity. They all have concern about the future generations. The ancestor Keti says, each act is a donation to eternity.
There's another one that says we don't inherit the planet from our ancestors, but we borrow it from our children.
That's powerful. Powerful. And Keti also says even an hour contributes to the future. Now let's go back. So every act is a donation. What is a donation?
Something that you give from your heart.
It's something that you give. Every act is a donation that you're giving to eternity. So now understand the level of awareness that you have to live with to know that everything that you do is going to continue resonating and reverberating to eternity. So now you see you have a serious responsibility as a conscious person putting out thoughts in the universe. So we become selfish. We want things back from the universe, but what are we putting out to the universe? So this concept of posterity contrasts the Eastern concept of the eternal now. Y'all heard of the eternal now? That there's no such thing as the past, there's no such thing as the future, it's just now. My younger brother always reminds me that two things could be correct at the same time. So now, why do we study history? Some people think that we study history to fight the European scholars about how blacks are superior. No, we study history not just to teach our children. We study history for behaviors. We're studying behaviors. We're studying behaviors that made decisions to certain set of circumstances. And we have to determine if we're trying to repeat those circumstances. So certain situations and circumstances we are trying to repeat, like high culture and civilization. So we study history like, how did they do that? Why did they do that? Oh, okay, so we want to take that. And then there's other parts of history that we don't want to repeat, like violation, like slavery. So we have to study the past, like, why did that happen? Oh, we can't do that again. So history informs us of in the now so that we can make decisions to be in an advantageous position in the future. So you see how two things are correct at the same time. So yes, it's about the now, but you're informed about the past so you can make the better decisions in now to be in a better position in the future. So it's all working simultaneously. So the Eastern people have a concept of enlightenment. Enlightenment is foresight, insight, circumspection, and introspection, all simultaneously. Once again, as we slow it down and stop all the black power rhetoric, and I believe in black power, African power, melanated, all of that. But we have to slow it down and understand our responsibility. As we slow it down, you see we have the immense responsibility for this stuff that we're claiming. We're claiming a big talk. But are we walking the walk? An example of posterity I see in a movie called King Richard. I just saw it yesterday. Anybody saw that? With Will Smith. It's a powerful movie. What's interesting, very powerful movie for, as a depiction of a black man with daughters, a black man with a family with daughters, but there is discussion about, I guess, giving him his respect, because the man had a whole family before his family. He had 5 children, had 5 children before Venus and Serena, and left them. So people got a problem with giving this man his praise in this movie. And be that as it may, I'm gonna ask y'all a question. Do you have to be perfect to plan for posterity? I'm kidding. No. But when you consider cancel culture, they will say, yeah, you got to be perfect. So do you have to have done everything right to plan for posterity? No. Okay. We have to be careful of the blame game in this cancel culture, because we keep playing around with it, then you will find that none of us is worthy of respect. We'll find that none of us is worthy of forgiveness. We'll find that none of us is worthy of redemption. Why y'all looking like that? They're like, nah, cancel culture is it. Because if we don't be careful, we have to look at our theology. So that debacle that happened between Asar and Nebuchadnezzar, we have to get Asar up out of here. And how, what is the Kemetic culture, what would it be without Asar? He's the foundation of the whole ancestral culture of Kemet. What about Osset? What about that story when Ra got poisoned by the scorpion and he was dying and he was like, Osset, I need the great one of magic, or Hekau, I need some help. And she was like, What's your secret name? Remember, powers and words and names. What is your secret name? And Ra had to give up the ghost because she wanted her son Heru to live forever and reign as the king. So that's bribery. Get Osset up out of here. What would the Kemetic culture be without Asar? And now there's no Osset? We in trouble. What about Satesh trying to sodomize Heru? Get him up out of here. What about Heru? Heru ain't innocent. Remember the story when Heru was fighting Satesh and he was about to beat him and he was about to behead him and Osset got in the way. We're like, no, we're going to let him live. And what did Heru do? Cut her head off. Heru got to go too. He disrespected the black woman. That could be considered disrespectful. And Jehudi had to replace her head. So here we have the major figures in Kemetic theology gotta go if we're gonna go off of cancel culture. So we can't look at history and we can't look at our past to learn the lessons about, that was wrong, that was foul, I got to be better. If we can't do that and if we don't allow each other space for that, then this spiritual stuff is just jargon. It's just talk. What about your past? What about your past when you was doing drugs? What about your past when you was wilding out? What about your past when you may have been a thief? What about the abortions? We all got cringe moments in our past, right? And it becomes easier to judge somebody else when we be thinking our stuff ain't that bad, when it's all bad. If you ain't perfect, then it's all bad. Remember last time I spoke about the avatar? I said each one of us got an avatar of each one of us in this room. Y'all remember that? So in your head, you got a version of me in your head that you think you know what I'm about and what you think you know what I'm supposed to do. Y'all remember that? So when I said it, you're interacting with that avatar more than the real person. And then you start punishing the person for contradicting the avatar. The problem is you begin to imprison that person and you don't let that person become who they're organically meant to be because you thought you had them all figured out as an avatar. Okay? So we all have cringe moments in this sojourn through life. So we have to cut it out and start cultivating some compassion or we in trouble as sentient beings on this planet. So now King Richard, even though he did what he did, ironically in a universal sense, if he didn't do what he did, we wouldn't have Venus and Serena, who are now role models to young black women about their capacity and their potential and what potential to actuality meant. So what are the takeaways from the film now that we got past that? Because we still can't shortchange the man on his positive contribution. So the man clearly made some mistakes. And we remember there's always two sides of the story. We don't know what was going on with the other side, what was going on with that family. And I'm not justifying it, but I just know there's just always another side. So he came into this new situation totally different. The man had a plan. He had a book. Did y'all know that? He had a book that charted out the life of his daughters. I think he even had the book before he even made the daughter. So this man had a plan. And everybody talk about you need a plan, you need a business plan, you need a 5-year plan, you need a 10-year plan. We all know conceptually, but whoever sticks to it, this man showed what it looks like. 2, the positive affirmations that he gave his daughters. His daughters lacked no confidence. I was just surprised at the confidence that they had zero. There was zero doubt in those two girls because of the father, where he implemented in their lives, and the affirmations he had them repeat. It was a doctrine. And this is why in our tradition, African tradition, make sure when it comes to the children that you pray and affirm over the lives of your children for the first 7 years. For the first 7 years of the formative years of the child is where they're getting their basic concepts of life, basic concepts of the mother, father, and how they interact, and what is good and what is bad, what feels good, what feels bad. So it's important that you pray over and affirm those things over the child. You have to convince, this is what I learned from the movie, you have to convince your children that your failures in life are an investment in their success. So they didn't grow up to blame their father for his lack of accomplishment. The father and the mother, I didn't know the mother actually taught them also, so they both were athletes. They weren't professional athletes, so it's interesting. So they had no professional accomplishments that we know, but they produced Venus and Serena. They trained them personally for the majority of their lives. But you never saw the children look down on their father. Their father was in Compton getting his behind whooped because he's taking his children to the tennis court to play. He's getting beat up by gang members down there every day. They coming home like, yeah, daddy got beat up again. His head is bleeding. But they didn't look down on him. They just saw that as the culture. Him X said something very significant, because we know Serena married a Caucasian. Because she's seeing, imagine seeing this at the formative years, you seeing your father get beat up by other black men for no reason at all, for doing the right thing. So that informed them in the decision on how they chose their relationship. That trauma probably outdid the beauty and love that their mother and father actually had. Black men were dangerous. They saw black men as dangerous. Another lesson, he totally ignored all limitations in the current circumstances, to the point where they thought this man was inhumane. He got his daughters out in the rain playing tennis. They called the police on him because he got his daughters out in the rain playing tennis. He had a certain technique. He said the tennis ball is wet, don't let it touch the ground. If it touches the ground, it's a wrap. You're not going to be able to do it. So he trained a certain skill set to get them to hit that thing before it hit the ground. Other people, remember, when you're the underdog, you got to train for a certain skill set to have game-changing results. So, he's insane. He's delusional. Even when the situations were seeming like they were beneficial, he still wasn't going for it. Like, nah, that ain't the vision. We got to keep on. They be like, but they offering you $2 million. You're like, we're going to see if we can get more. Because certain people have such a small vision for themselves, even in success. So the takeaway from the film, the lesson of posterity is not just for Richard Williams, it's for the whole family. So now their legacy is for posterity, and it's going to outlive all of them, because I heard he's not well now. And there's usually this phenomenon when movies get done about people, they die or transition soon after. So now his story is solidified, their story is solidified. That movie is their pyramid. So, what will be your defining statement for posterity? What will be your pyramid? Tupac said, I was given this world, I didn't make it. Y'all remember that? Yeah, Mom. Tupac was half wrong. We all remember every act contributes, is a donation to eternity. So King Richard, he donated to eternity through his daughters. He didn't do it for the now, he did it for his daughters. So now his name will live on through the daughters. So a lot of times what we do, what we fail to do, our children give us crap about. What we say, I didn't live in this world, I didn't make it. Everybody is making it one generation to the next generation. So the things that you do now might not benefit you. It might not benefit your children. It might benefit the grandchildren. But we believe in reincarnation, right? So who is the grandchildren? That's you. I wasn't given this world, I didn't. Yes, you did, Negro. Did it 40 years ago, 70 years ago now. You setting yourself up for you to benefit later. That's a form of positive narcissism, I guess, right? So we're talking about posterity, concern for the future generations. In African spirituality, there's this consistent concern for the future. So in here, we have the reading of the year. So at the end of the year, going into the new year, we generally do the reading of the year, right? Then at Wet Rim Pet, we do a reading of the year, right? Then people come to me and him at directly, oh, I need a reading for my relationships. Everyone's concerned about the future. Everyone's could be considered obsessed about the future. Is there a fear of the future? Scientists call it, what is it? Catastrophophobia. What is phobia? Fear of catastrophe. Where does that come from? Then we speak about last week about the book of Revelation, the end of this end of the world. Where does that come from? Symbolic thinking. Oh, what'd you do? Lack. Conditioned thinking. All of that, remember, two things can be true at the same time. I would say it's in your genetic memory. It's in your genetic memory way back before we were in this form that we're in now. Before we were in this form that we're in now, we were microorganisms. Remember we spoke about bacteria and virus. A good significant portion of your body consists of bacteria and viruses, right? So there was a time on Earth, you could see all the planets directly in the sky. You'd be like, Mars will be there, Venus will be there. But then an asteroid hit the Earth, bam, put it on that. What's the degree tilt that they say the Earth is on? Is that what, 40? Is that in 33 degrees tilt? Well, so we don't got no scientists in here. Where the kids at? We need to hire. So it tilted. So that tilt spawned certain things that happen on the planet. So the microorganisms started changing and things started so-called evolving. We're going off the science. Came from the water and all that stuff turning somehow. They believe in magic too, because they be trying to act like we are all superstitious. They believe in magic. So we went from an organism to a fish to a monkey type person to a man. Isn't that magic? That's transformation. Then another disaster happened, the Ice Age. Now you see these catastrophes, the planet get hit, wow. Now Ice Age. Now some of our ancestors got caught in Europe through the Ice Age. I don't know how long the Ice Age lasts. I think it might have been 10,000 years or something. So when after the Ice Age came, they were white. Because of their position, lack of things in the soil, lack of sunlight, they came back. Our ancestors were white. So white folks ain't something different. They're our ancestors, a different version of our ancestors. But due to their environment, the lack in their environment, they come back aggressive. They come back gangsters, and we like, oh, what the heck is going on? We believe in abundance, plenty of food for everyone. They like, I know, and I'm going to control it. You get over there, and I'm going to give you that, and we're going to take the rest. You let me know when you need more. But we control it. And now you see the history of catastrophe. We have this attitude like everything was good till that asteroid hit. Everything was good till that Ice Age hit. Everything was good till the white man came, you know. So it's catastrophe when in reality, we don't even really ever remember when it was ever all good. Right? Here we are complaining after the pandemic, oh, the restrictions, I can't go on vacation, and now we acting like the golden age was 2 years ago, when we just forget we was complaining then too. Oh, Trump is the president, you know, we didn't think it could get any worse than him. Now he's like, oh, maybe Trump ain't that bad, we probably all be voting for him. We'll all be voting for him now, my bad. Yeah, he did. He said he would have a man that he been going back on everything. But remember, those coming from the Caucasus Mountains, they do that. They gangster like that. So we're concerned with the future. our concern with the future, catastrophobia. And now in that, we're always contemplating in our myths are constantly getting us to contemplate the golden age. The golden age is that time, when it was all good. So in ancient Kemet, the golden age was when they built the pyramids, when literature was flowering, when philosophy was flowering, when tradition was renewed. That's considered like the golden age. So now, considering the Kemetic community now, are we in the golden age? Do you believe? Why y'all getting quiet? Y'all scared to be wrong? It's a learning process. I ain't gonna yell at you. So raise your hand. You just believe we are in the golden age. Oh, okay. We are. What we know about the Sesh Metal Nectar is way more than what we knew 50 years ago. That's why we have Nasus and Jetty. The session Nasus and Jetty and here putting us up on the new updates of the language. So the language is flourishing. Aren't there more powerful books about African spirituality and culture now? More than it was 50 years ago. So it's way more literature. So much literature that now the literature is coming up with different conclusions in the books that we thought was the truth back then. Remember, it's different layers of the truth. Several things could be true at the same time. One level of truth could contradict this other level of the truth, but this other level of truth was true for a phase of consciousness, right? Y'all get it? We got new music and things like that. Sometimes when we say we're in the golden age, we think, okay, the tradition is the golden age, but then we're still in Western civilization too. And we're like, yeah, Western's, or then we be like, yeah, we're in the golden age for our civilization, science and technology, right? But sometimes we have to check ourselves because we be acting like we're all super African and we don't do the European stuff and everything is African. Then we talk about we're in this golden age. What is the golden age over here in the Western society looks like? It looks like vaccination. That's considered high technology. When in reality, so we got Bill Gates responsible for that. Not even a doctor. They tell me, don't speak on it, brother. You're not a professional. You can't speak on it. But the man behind the vaccination is not a doctor. I promise I ain't gonna stay on the vaccination. He love that vaccination thing. It's provocative. It's a provocative topic, and there's many lessons in it. So Bill Gates, check out the catastrophe thing. So Bill Gates is afraid that this virus is going to kill everybody. So he had to come up with the magical vaccination. Because he's scared that so many people are going to be harmed like really. But in reality, viruses don't kill people. Did I say anything? So they fooled us into thinking that the virus was the enemy, that we had to be careful, that we had to be worried about this virus. The nature of the virus is to live. Did y'all know that? So the virus just needs you as the host to pass on to the next person. So if you die, that's counterproductive to the virus. So the virus needs to fool you into thinking you're healthy so you can continue coming to communions or going to those concerts and stuff. You're like, yeah, we're going to proliferate. But if you dying, that's almost like suicide for the virus. And notice every generation of the virus gets weaker. They're not telling you that either. Notice that they can't make no money off of Omicron because it's weak, it's dying. So technically the pandemic is at the beginning to be over, but they're going to milk this thing. And understand, with the virus is not the problem. The problem is the comorbidities. Y'all understand? That's diabetes, high blood pressure, being overweight. What killed 90% of the people that died was being obese. So it's not the virus killing people, it's the comorbidities killing people. High blood pressure, diabetes, when we say being overweight. Aren't those things in your control? Yeah. But the fear of catastrophophobia, you gotta get this thing. Elon Musk, he's messing with the space thing and trying to figure out how to terraform Mars so we could go. Well, I ain't gonna say we. We probably ain't gonna be able to afford to go. Have it their way. You know he's doing them trips to space. I think he got that thing that go up in the air. It costs $30,000 to be on that. I guess none of us going on that, right? So $30,000 just to get a peekaboo, come back down with some more great adventure stuff. Like free fall. They take you there. You saw it, right? You saw it, right? Now guess how much it's gonna cost to go to Mars? To live under a glass dome. So that's interesting. So here Bill Gates thinking the world is ending because of this virus. And now at the same time, Elon Musk trying to go to Mars, we missing out on something? That's catastrophophobia. So this planet is dying, we need to find someplace else to go. Step 3, enter Mark Zuckerberg with the metaverse. So, the metaverse, meta means what? Beyond in Greek. I was listening to Jamar Milton. He said in Hebrew, meta means death. Mark Zuckerberg, is he what? What's his ethnicity? Jewish. So he picked the word metaverse. Is it the death verse? But we as African knows that there's no such thing as death. So meta means the same thing for us, beyond. We know that there's a life beyond. So now understand these things. This is the golden age. And guess who the white folks face is the face of the golden age. So you got Bill Gates, you have Elon Musk, you have Mark Zuckerberg. At the same time, you got this thing called the Great Reset. What we're talking about, or what we understand to be 1% of the population is buying up all the property. Because so many people are defaulting on their mortgages because of the pandemic. So you couldn't pay your rent, you gotta go. Now landlords couldn't pay their mortgage. Now they're defaulting, so the 1% said, I'll buy it up. Bill Gates was already buying up all the farms, so the farms is not owned by us anymore, it's owned by Bill Gates. And he got a patent on the seeds. So the Great Reset, 1% is taking us, so the way they have it is, you could have everything but own nothing, meaning you're gonna be on an extended rental program. Now come with the reset, now we got the Great Resignation. Negroes are just quitting. I quit. I just can't go back there. You know you can't get unemployment. I don't care. I just can't go back there. But you don't got. Do you got enough money for the next? I don't care. I'm just not going back there. The Great Resignation. They can't even keep it. They don't raise the money. You can't even get Negroes to go back to work after they got raised. Yo, we pay you $25 an hour. Remember, minimum wage was like under $15. They had $25. Like, no, I can't go back. So the Great Reset, Great Resignation, Negroes is quitting. And into the chat, AI. Remember they was always talking about the AI taking jobs. It ain't taking the jobs. Y'all quit. Y'all quit, you can't pay you to come back. They're like, all right, we got something for you. Enter Mark Zuckerberg. Don't worry, it sucks, I know. Come to the metaverse. Isn't it diabolical when we see it laid out like this? Come to the metaverse. The metaverse got you checking out of reality and plugging in to the Matrix. And that's what we was watching in the Matrix 25 years ago. Remember, there was, the physical world always existed. Remember when you got to look at it, it looked dreary, unkempt, because everybody was in these pods. They was in another reality. Their physical body's here, but nothing was being done with the physical body, but they checked out, plugged in, for what? For what cause? To become an energy source. Remember that? They was harnessing your body in bodily energy. So damn, am I against technology? No, I'm not against technology. I love it, but I'm only against it once I recognize a pattern, a diabolical pattern of the scientists in the text that don't have our best interests at hand. That's the only time I got an issue with science and technology. Should we participate? Yes. But Remember that we're spiritualists, and that spiritualist nature is our source of power, right?
True.
Science and technology doesn't get you closer to nature or further from nature.
Further.
Yeah, so they're taking you further away from your source of power. Ultimately, the more you rely on science and technology, the weaker you will become. You have to go into this knowing this, because you got to temper it. It's inevitable that we're going to have to participate, but you have to be conscientious of going into the future like this. The more you get into science and tech, the weaker you're going to become. They're going to have you renting your power. What is that talking about? Renting your power. To know thyself. You have to know yourself. You have to get organic pleasures through like dancing, singing, being out in the sun, the beach, conversations with one another. That releases oxytocin. That's the pleasure hormone or chemical that your brain releases. But if you don't know your purpose, you don't know how to do the relationship thing right, or to interact and interface with each other right, you're not going to release the oxytocin, and you're going to be miserable. And Mark Zuckerberg is like, come to the metaverse. So the metaverse is the artificial reality is going to make you release even more than natural levels of oxytocin. So you're going to get more pleasure in the metaverse than you're going to get in everyday life. So understand, the universe is mental, right? So how we understand you create and shape your reality with a thought, right? And then what's the next phase? Thought, then what? Motion. What is the purpose? To establish it in the physical plane, right? Right? I think. Y'all not sounding sure. So you have a thought and you create it, manifest. That's the word. So now if you go to the metaverse way, they're going to have you stuck in imagination. And there is no manifestation. You're going to, what Rock can say, has he lost his mind, or is he lost in his mind? Put him on a brain scan to locate his game plan. So they're going to have you in the world of imagination with no purpose, because remember, you checked out and now you plugged in. So now they're going to have you renting access to your own imagination. Kat Brush told me about the metaverse, and her head told me about the metaverse. Like, we can have Temple online and we can be in Kemet. And be like, that's cool or whatever. Then y'all get so used to that, then you ain't going to want to check back in. Where they said selling water to a well. What is that other saying? She living rent-free in his mind. So now they got us renting our own thoughts. That's a serious hustle. So the mental is not even tangible. Now you got to pay rent. That's crazy. Remember it was crazy when we thought we was going to have to buy water in bottles? Here we are. So we're going to be renting air in bottles. It's almost there too. Zuckerberg is trying to tell you that the metaverse is better than nature. Because you understand, to interact in that metaverse, you got to create an avatar. We talked about the avatar before. So this avatar is a perfected version of yourself. So you can be a little chubby. I'm not chubby no more. You can be short. I'm not short anymore. So we don't know who or what we're dealing with in the metaverse. But the oxytocin release is so pleasurable, we ain't gonna care. I ain't gonna say we, I gotta watch the word. So here we could be like, yo, I'm going out to throw ball and play some sports and we're gonna spar. Why would you do that? In the metaverse, you could fly. You're like, yo, Ken Brush, you seen the sister over there? That's a beautiful sister. In the metaverse, be outside. This is a beautiful day, man. I'm glad the sun is out. In the metaverse, the sun is 10 times bright. The water is extra blue. That's where it's going. So us, here we could involve ourselves in it, but you have to be a shaman. A shaman does what you call walk between the worlds. So you could participate in it, but just don't be entrapped by it. Just like we could be on social media, don't be entrapped by it. Some of you find yourself having to go on social media fast because you start going down that social media rabbit hole, and you see you start draining yourself. That's why, like Ashanti got up here and said, it's time for people to just come to the place, be up in the service, in the energy. This is unparalleled because the way it's going, this might be illegal one day. I read one article about the metaverse and saying where they're going with it is when you go to the supermarket, you ain't even gonna be able to read the prices on the stuff. You're gonna need the helmet thing to see how much. Like there's an article on it, so that's crazy, right? So once again, we're in the matrix. So here you are walking in the world and not in the world because you got the thing, and you seeing something totally different. So what we're saying is 30 years down the line, children are going to be born and raised in the metaverse, and that will be the myth of the time and day when people indulged in the natural world. That's crazy, right? We're in that transition now. So what is the solution? The solution is an Afrocentric approach to physical culture, African-centered approach to mental culture, the African-centered approach to spiritual culture, and then a supplemental dietary regimen to support your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual health. Remember, our connection is to nature. The rest of that conversation is for initiates. And understand that's no disrespect to the people that's online in the room that's not initiate, but we're a community, we're a village, we're a family. We get to invite people in on our terms. We don't have to give everything we know to the people. We've done more than enough of what's required for us to give back to the community. So for the regular folks out there, the supporters out here, this conversation is like a compass pointing you in the right direction. Because you have to understand that there is no such thing as a solitary practitioner of the Kemetic legacy. There is no such thing as a solitary practitioner of African spirituality. I know some people want it to be that, but it's not that. There are components that you do by yourself, but as a sentient being that's grounded in African-centered philosophy, you cannot practice solitarily. We're on this quest for truth, and there's different layers of truth, and we have to understand sometimes the truth is offensive to us. And sometimes the truth contradicts your personal sensibilities. And just because it contradicts your personal sensibilities does not mean it's some type of conspiracy to control you. Sometimes it just is what it is if you're going to be a part of that system. So understand when you're studying our ancestors, you're studying individuals who understood and accepted that they were part of a nation. And that nation had rules of governance and rules of engagement. And they stuck to it to the best of their ability. And us here at the Kemmunion, we continue to have that discussion about those rules of engagement and what are the necessary adjustments that we have to do under our present circumstance. I'm hot. So I think I said a mouthful, and I'm gonna end it on that so we can always continue going on with the conversation about posterity, but I think we're good for today, right? So I thank you all for coming. I thank the room for coming and filling the room and respecting the idea of community, the importance of community, and I respect the people online that's not in the tri-state area that wish they could be here, that come on time with us, because there's always the option to watch it later, but some people are watching it in live time, because at the end of the day, our only success for survival is with each other. That individual thing is going to get us killed. We have to understand that this is about interdependence, so we got to continue to have the conversation about community, and we have to love each other more than we hate what each other do sometimes. So I'll leave it on that. So let's stand up. 90 degrees. We say shake. Kemmunion with that. We go in peace and satisfaction. Brothers right over left, sisters left over right. Dianu, Uncle Johnsonet. Open up. Get energy around the room. Retract the foot. Bring it into the heart chakra. Ground it into your body. Stomp out on the count of 3. Wa, Sunu, Shemet. All right. That's why.